All right. Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Carla, and today's call is going to be a little personal, I think. And so, first of all, thank you, everybody who's on the call on time. And I apologize for the little problem that we had, little hiccup. But thank you for everybody insisting to get on the call. And know that this call will be replayed for a week. So if somebody didn't have a chance to get on, they can always listen to it till next week. So what I thought I would do today is share with you guys a little bit. As you guys know, we've been doing these calls for some time. And one of the things that I want to open up to you is I want to start doing, today's call is all about starting to do an inquiry of why we do what we do. And the reason why I thought I would share this with you guys is because without getting into so many details, something not very pleasant happened in my personal life last week. And, and here's the thing, like everything in life, when something happens, it's all the way we interpret it, right? And it's all the way that we see life and things like that. And so yesterday I came back from my parents' house. I was up in Nipomo, and this morning I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, hit the gym, and actually I woke up at 4 in the morning, left the house at 4:30, hit the gym, and, I wasn't feeling all that great. And for a little moment, I was like, I'm going to go back home and go to sleep. But I thought, okay, hang on, Carla. And here's the thing, you guys. I know that, I do the calls and, you guys coach people. That doesn't mean that we don't have situations that we face ourselves, okay? So this morning what happened was, there I was, and I was thinking, I really don't want to go to the gym. I had already had my shake. I had my lift off and my prepare in my water bottle. And I was really close to going back home. And I came up with all kinds of reasons of why I would rationalize myself from not going to the gym. And this is really relevant to life and to our business, okay? So just bear with me for a second. But one of the things that I do know is that we can totally determine how we feel and what we focus on. And although at that moment I couldn't get myself to really think about, okay, this is going to be great, I want to go to the gym, I'm going to take a run, I couldn't get myself there because of what happened last week in my life. Now I'm starting to face it. You see, so many times what happens is something happens, okay, and this little situation happened on Wednesday, and it was kind of like I was numb. Wednesday night is when it happened. So Thursday I was a little numb, and then Friday I went up to my parents' house. So now I was distracted by, beautiful views and hanging out with my dad and, cutting vegetables and making the meals and all that stuff, right? So I wasn't necessarily thinking all the time about what happened. But now that I came back home, now I have to face the situation. And one of the things that we know as human beings, and one of the things that I want to start having you look at is this whole concept of immersion. And, immersion is something that, this is how we learn. This is, if you want to learn anything rapidly, okay, or if you want to be in a certain state, if you want to feel a certain way, you can totally put yourself in immersion and get yourself a rapid result. So, for example, how we learn language, if you really want to learn a language, yes, you can take a class, and you can go every week and take certain, lessons and things like that. But if you immerse yourself and went to the country, so let's say if I want to speak Japanese, right, I could take a class once a week, and I can learn maybe 5 years from now how to be fluent. But if I went to Japan, took the classes, and I immersed myself in the country with the language, I would probably be fluent in half that time, if not even faster. So this is why it's so important that we surround ourselves with the people that are going to, empower what it is that we're after. That's why the HOMs, the fit camps, the STSs, whatever it is that you can immerse yourself into to get you to going towards that direction. So at 4:30 in the morning, there's nothing I can immerse myself into, right? But I thought, okay, what can I do? And I started putting some personal development. And there's plenty that I love, but one of the guys that I really, really enjoy when I'm down and that voice, his passion gets going is Anthony Robbins. And so immediately I put this thing on Anthony Robbins, and I thought this was so great because, I looked through the little scrolls down all the topics, and I came across this topic, and that is why we do what we do. And I'm like, I need to hear this. So I want to share with you guys what I got from it, and it completely changed my state. And that is to start looking at why we do what we do. And here's the thing. I want you to start, if you have something to write down, I'm going to ask you phrases for you to look at. Number one, is what is your motive for action? Okay, what is your motive for action? What are the things that get you to have action, to get into action? So at that moment, I started thinking about how I was going to feel after my workout. You know, I was not feeling all that great. One, it was super early. And two, I started focusing on all the things that went wrong last week and all the things that I now need to do to resolve what happened. So something happened, and now I'm facing the consequences. And by the way, I didn't do anything. It was just a situation. But, you know, it's okay. But here's the thing. This morning I was thinking about, oh, my gosh, now I have to find this. Now I got to go that. Now I have to do this. And I started to focus on all the upsets that this situation brought me. So I started thinking, okay, I got to change my state. So I started thinking, what is the motive for my actions? In this moment in time when he was asking this, I thought, okay, I need to focus on how I'm going to feel when I get out of the gym. You know, how good I'm going to feel, that I'm going to actually be able to not forget, but maybe have some new ideas of how to resolve this situation that I'm facing. So I started thinking about what are my motives for action? What gets me to get into action? Okay? Number two, what is it that drives you in your life today? Not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago. And I'm really going to invite you to give this question time and effort and consciousness and really start to think about what is it that drives you in your life today. See, and when he asked this question, I started to think about myself and started to think, okay, so like one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm looking to move, and I'm looking to move to an area where I can, you know, really build my Herbalife business with the bilingual Latin market. So immediately, I'm going to confess, I started to think about what drove me when I was totally in action with my Herbalife business. You know, when I was completely immersed in my business and, you know, literally tripled my business in 3 months. And then when he said today, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago, I started to think about, okay, yeah, you know what, that's so true. Because what has us do what we do is based on the situation that you're like, not the situation, based on what you're focusing on. So if I'm starting to think about what motivated me 5 years ago, well, guess what? I am a completely different person today. What I focus on, what's important to me, what matters to me, what I value today is very different than 5 years ago. So I invite you, so many times we want to get ourselves back into action, whether it's with your body, your business, your relationship, your spirituality, whatever it is. And so many times we go to the past to grab our motivation. And that might serve you if you're still in the same place. But I can almost guarantee that you're not. So we got to start looking at what drives you in your life today that will have you get into action. And here's the thing. You know, and the reason why it's important, okay, is because there's this invisible force of internal drive. There's this invisible, you can't see it. And there's this force internally that drives you, that if it gets activated, okay, and we talked about this at the Fresno NCS and in Dallas. You know, I gave you guys a whole training of the brain patterns. You know, and here's the thing you want to look at is that, and by the way, I haven't forgotten to email you guys those presentations. I'm going to do that this week. And for those of you who want it, at the end of this call, I'll give you my information so you can send me your information. I can email you that presentation. But we talked about there's this invisible, you don't see it. There's this force that's of internal drive that when it gets activated, there's nothing that you cannot accomplish. Now, why that's important is because this internal force that activates, that when it's activated, what it does, it creates emotion. And if you remember the presentation that I gave you guys, there's 3 things that must be in alignment. Number 1 is your thoughts. Number 2, it's your beliefs. And number 3 is your emotions. Okay, so here is how you tap into those emotions, and that is you start thinking about what are those internal drives that definitely how you can start activate them will therefore create certain emotion. And when that emotion is created, that is your force for life. That is your source to be able to do amazing things. And the reason why I say this is because here's the thing. All of us know what we know, and we all know that knowing makes no difference. Now, here's the thing, right? If you really look at your life, you know how to XYZ. You know how to lose weight. You know how to create your business. You know how to make your business grow. You really do. You really, really do. okay? And if you don't, you can find that information. However, that doesn't guarantee you to actually take action. What will have you take action is putting emotion behind it. Because here's the thing. Just like this morning, I have, my mind, it knew that I needed to go to the gym to, release some stress and everything that I'm going through. But here's the thing. Your mind is so amazing. It will rationalize its way out of anything. Anything. It will rationalize why you should, and it will rationalize why you shouldn't. So really, if you think about it, your mind can really have you make anything happen. Okay? Now, what we all know that most of us, okay, here in this room, or not in this room, in this call, okay, we all know that we all want to improve ourselves. We are here on this call this week, and why we're involved in our business and why we're doing personal development, why we go to our trainings, is because we really want to contribute in some way, somehow, and contribute to ourselves. Now, here's the thing, though. Most people in the world, they really operate all on self-interest. However, not always do we operate on self-interest. People, when they have emotions behind something, that your brain will rewire itself to get you to take action. So if you're thinking, like, for example, this morning, right, I started to, so this situation that's going on, it involves more than just myself. So, however, in the moment, okay, I was thinking about, oh my God, what do I need to do? What is that? All these things that I need to go to work on. But then for a moment, I started to think about the other people that are affected by what happened on Wednesday. And immediately my emotions kicked in. And I started to get compassionate. And I started to get like, oh my God, and I mean, I'm still having to take care of myself, but I started to think about everybody else. Now, why this is important, okay, is because if we can really start to, how can I say this? If we can really start to tap into this, because it's great to know things intellectually, but what I would like for us to do is to look at what drives you. To start to look at what are your motives for action. And I invite you to start looking at these, to start exploring where you are today, not 5 years ago, where you are today. The reason are for two things. Number one, when you do this, you will contribute more. If you start looking at what drives you, and you start looking at what are the motives for action, I can almost guarantee you that, yes, you have a self-interest, but it goes beyond you. It goes beyond you. And that is one of the things we're going to look at this call also is the art of fulfillment. But I'm just kind of building the basis here. So you want to start looking at what can you do, what motivates you that you can contribute more. And then number two, the other reason why I want you to start looking at this is so that you can hopefully not only start understanding people, but really have a better appreciation for them. And so why I'm saying this is because when I was sitting there in the car and Anthony Robbins was asking these questions on his audio that I was listening to, like what motivates you, what are your motives and all that stuff. And then I started to think about, he started talking about the human needs, and I'll go over those in a minute. When he started thinking about it, I started thinking, you know what? When I really, really get to the core of what drives me, and when I really get to the core of what motivates me, it is beyond me. Yes, I would like to have X, Y, Z. Absolutely. But most of the reasons why I want to have X, Y, Z is because I want to share them with the people that I love. I want to share them with the people that are around me. So if you start looking at, what makes a difference in people's lives when it comes to performance, taking action, because at the end of the day, as you remember a couple of calls back, it is all about action. You cannot create results unless you have action. You can meditate, you can visualize it, all that stuff. But unless you get into action, nothing is going to happen. Now, what gets us into action, it all comes down to our human needs. So let's explore when it comes to performance, what makes someone do what they do, okay? So, of course, we want to look at, of course, we want to contribute. We want to do something for other people. But here's the thing that I'm going to start to invite you to look at. There are two master lessons. And this is something that I have been personally exploring for the last year. And that is, the first one is, there is the science of achievement. Write that down. The science of achievement. And this is by taking something invisible, something that's in your mind, a dream, a goal, and creating it into reality. So you have the goal of getting to Cat Team. You have the goal of getting to Mill Team. You have the goal of getting to Press Team. Whatever your goal is, you have the goal. One of, Martha Cervantes, one of our team members from Dallas, Tyler, Texas, one of her goals was to run 100 miles in 1 month, right? So she took this invisible idea and created into reality, to a visible thing, documenting her miles, bam, over 100 miles in the month of August. Okay, some of you guys might think of the promotions for extravaganza coming up in, this Latin extravaganza, whatever it is. You guys, I think you get the picture. It's the science of achievement. Now, here's the thing. This is, and I know you might not agree with this, but this is kind of easy because when it comes to science, it's about, once you know the steps, once you know what you have to do, for example, I'll take her as an example, 100 miles, right? And if she's going to run, X amount of days for the month, all she has to do is divide 100 divided by the day she's going to run, and that's how many miles she needs to run a day. If she falls behind, the next day she has to catch it up. So the science of achievement is relatively easy. As long as you know the steps, you have a formula, you execute, you put yourself into action, you will accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish. Now, you might be thinking, Carla, it's not that easy. No, but it really is. It really is. When it comes to science, it's a formula. You follow the formula, you'll get the result. Now, that's all fine and dandy, okay? But here's the other thing. The other is rarely mastered, and that is the art of fulfillment. Okay, and that takes my breath away because that's one thing I've been really, really going to work on for the last year and a half, and one of the things I've contributed to every single one of you guys with the Core 4 is that. Yes, I want you to achieve all your dreams, all your goals. I told my guys in Tyler, I want you guys to get to Press Team. But what I want more than that is for you to get to Press Team happy, fulfilled, full of love and happiness, okay? And that is how, to look at that is really an art. How you do that, it varies from person to person, okay? So if you see, the science is really like it's a step-by-step. You do it there, you get the result. But when it comes to fulfillment, it's an art. Okay, and it comes, you want to write this down, from appreciation and contribution. That's the only way. The only way you can feel fulfilled is to contribute and to be appreciative. And some of you guys might call that grateful. If you're not grateful, people that don't have gratitude in their lives, why they do what they do is all based on fear. They're constantly reacting. They're constantly in scarcity. And I'm sharing this with you because this morning, that's where I found myself. I'm thinking, oh, my God, how am I going to do this? Oh, my God, what do I have to do? And I actually, I told my boyfriend, I'm like, and the whole drive down from my parents' house, I was really, really serious. And he's like, babe, what's wrong? And I'm like, all of a sudden it hit me, all the things I need to do, right? And here's the thing. It was like an overwhelming sensation in my mind that consumed me. But the moment I got grateful for my life and all the blessings that I have, my state shifted. Now, I have to really go to work on that, and because it wasn't that easy. I'm not gonna lie to you and go on with thinking positive. No, I kept thinking, you know what? But I'm grateful for X, Y, Z, and I'm grateful that I'm okay, and that I'm grateful that this is okay, and I'm grateful that my family's in good health. And I started, and then of course the bad thoughts kept in my mind, and I kept having to go at it. Okay, so why I'm sharing this with you is because one of the things I want you to start looking at this week is why you do what you do is all based on your belief system and what you're focusing on. Okay, so let's start looking at a little bit let's start going a little further into this. Let's start thinking about what is the difference in people's lives. You see, some people, they'll take something, they have no resources. I have a good friend, her name is Julie, and, she had, if you compare her to me, right, I had a very blessed life. My family might have not had a lot of money, but my parents always gave us a lot of love. My mom always, my mom and my dad always told me that I could do anything. I mean, I had a pretty, no life is perfect, right, but I had a pretty healthy life. In comparison to hers, I was really, really blessed, and she's very blessed as well. But as far as the resources and stuff are concerned, she had very limited resources. Yet today, she is I don't even know what kind of doctor she is, a blood doctor. She's gone through all these degrees. So if you think about, why is somebody like her who had very little resources and had a hard upbringing, and maybe you could even say, maybe, I don't know, that she had pain in her life. Then you have somebody who is very privileged, who has the best of the best, right, the best college, the best school, the best everything, and they have totally different lives. And many times who contributes more are those people that had a lot of pain in their life. So if you start to think about what is the difference in people's lives, why do some people contribute while some other people are destroying or are out to get people, right? And some people are out to give, some people are out to get. So what is it? Okay? What is it that drives us, that distinguishes us? I want you to start asking that for yourself. What is it that drives me, that distinguishes me from the actions that I take versus somebody else? Okay? And here's the thing. Most people, I hope not you guys, people live thinking, that your past equals your future. The culture that we live in, for the most part, people say, oh, well, I am the way I am because of the way I was raised. I am the way I am because of my parents. I am the way I am because so-and-so did this to me. Now, I know you guys on the call don't believe that, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be on this call. Because to most people, they literally sometimes even say, well, this is just how I am, take it or leave it, right? They don't want to evolve. They don't want to grow. But here, why you're on the call is because you really get that that's not the truth. You really get that you really can, design your future. You really can, by the decisions that you make, completely shape your destiny. And I know some of you guys on the phone might be thinking, what? But here's the thing. If you really think about it, haven't there been decisions that you've made that completely have shaped your destiny? Just look at the decision that you made by being on this call. And for those of you who have been on this call since last year, I bet you're a different person today than when we started last September. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. This month will be a year. We should do something to celebrate. But that was girl talk, one subject to the next, right? But anyhow, the point is, if you start thinking about, why people really start to think, oh, my past equals my future, and they start to blame things like I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the money, I didn't have the time, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. Okay, and some of us sometimes. This morning I was in that moment. Okay, but here's the thing I want you to start looking at. I want you to start thinking about if it's not the resources, because you guys really resources have nothing to do, because some people have no resources and make magic happen. And I know you know this, okay? But they are claiming that this missing of resources is why they are where they're at. But if that's not the case, then what is the defining factor? If it's not resources that define our outcome, then what is? See, and I want you to write this down, and that is the defining factor is resourcefulness. Okay? Their defining factor is resourcefulness. And what I mean by that is if you have emotion in anything, you can get yourself to do anything you want. Think about that. Okay, so this morning, right, I wasn't feeling all that great. My resourcefulness was to tap into, grabbed my phone, went onto YouTube, and, listened to an audio that got me to change my state. Therefore, my resourcefulness led me to create a different emotion. And you guys have all experienced this. When you are in the state of resourcefulness, you get creative. You get determined. You reach out for love. You're very curious. You're full of passion. So if you think about this, if any moment in time, I'm saying this because today's the end of the month for the month of August, right, September 2nd, but we have until today. Anything that you do today will count for the month of August. So think about if you're stuck and you're achieving one of your goals and you're thinking about, I'm out of time, that's your resource. No, let's get resourceful. Be in the state of resourcefulness. Get creative, right? Start being determined. Start to think about, okay, bring some passion into it and go, how can I? What can I do? How can I? Today I have an appointment. My car's in the shop, and I have an appointment with this guy who wants to start doing the business. Two guys, actually. And I'm thinking, okay, well, we want to meet. And I started thinking, how can I? And I'm not going to go into the details, but basically I got it resolved. I still don't have a car. My car's still in the shop. But guess what? I resolved it. I got creative. I put some passion behind it. I reached out. I asked for help. Bam, it's going to get done. So I invite you to start looking at that, because what has us do what we do is all based on the emotions, what we focus on, okay? So let me just conclude by saying this. There are 3 decisions that we make every moment in our life. Every moment in our lives, there are 3 decisions that we're making at any moment. And something happens, you have this decision. Here it is. Number 1, what am I going to focus on? Okay? This morning, right? I didn't want to go to the gym. I started thinking, okay, you know what, but I'm going to feel like this. I started to focus on everything I was going to feel. So number 2, what does this mean? See, whatever you focus on gives you a meaning. Okay? Whatever you focus on gives you a meaning. So number 1 is what am I going to focus on? Number 2 is what does it mean? See, because some people, it can mean that this is the end. It can mean this is the beginning. You know, you can think about, you know, I'm being punished or I'm being rewarded. Or you can think of something like this as being a blessing or this as being a curse. So what happened to me on Wednesday, or what happened, not to me, but what happened on Wednesday, I caught myself, what happened on Wednesday, I could think of it as, oh my God, this is the end of it. Or I could think of it as the beginning. I started to think about, you know what, this is the beginning of something. God is telling, personally, I believe in God, God is telling me something here. So what is the lesson? And I started to think about it, and I started to all of a sudden look at all the positive, and of course the negative creeped in, and I kept thinking, no, you know what, this is going to be something great going to come out of this. I know it. So it's number 2 is what does it mean? And then number 3, what are you going to do? Okay, what are you going to do? Because what you focus on gives you the meaning, and whatever meaning you give it will determine the action that you take. Okay, and here's the thing just to wrap this up. And that is, if you think about this, okay, there are some emotions when you think about people that have done this, like, people that have changed history, okay, they have literally focused on a specific result, gave it a meaning, and took action, all right? And I'm not going to go into examples, but if you think about people like, Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and Gandhi, these people, they focused on something specific, gave it a meaning, and took some action. And during that process, there were 2 things that happened. Number 1, they had an emotional fitness. And number 2, they developed psychological strength. Emotional fitness and psychological strength. Because see, in that moment where you make that decision, that is the way you're going to get yourself to go in a different direction. You want to write this down, is to change your state. And the way you change your state is by what you focus on, your physical body, and your emotions. Now, I was in the car, so I couldn't change my state because I was, driving, but I started to, sitting up straight. I put some, the YouTube thing, I put it a little louder. So I started to change my state. Now, that's fine, but here's the thing. That's only in the moment, right? How you're going to change your state long term is by the model of the world. In other words, your world view. What is your model of the world? Are you out there thinking that people are all out to get you? Or do you have the model of the world that everybody serves each other? It all depends on your world view will literally shape the meaning, the emotions, and your actions. So you can change yourself at any moment, and just by a snap of a finger, you can change yourself and your state of mind and your emotions at any moment in time. But how you develop this in long term is by the way you see the world. The model of the world that you have will determine the meaning. In other words, what you focus on, what will give you what the meaning is, which will give you your emotions, which will give you the actions that you take. So, in conclusion, you want to start targeting what are you after. Start to think about what matters to you and start to uncover what drives you, okay, what motivates you so that you can tap into that at any moment in time. And here's the last minute, and I'm going to cover the 6 human needs because at the end of the day, you guys, everything we do is to fulfill these human needs, everything. What drives you, what motivates you, they're in these 6 human needs. Number 1 is your need of certainty. You must know that the roof above your head is not going to fall, Okay, you have to have certainty in your life. Now, here's the thing you want to get, especially when you're building your business. You want to make sure that the people that you're working with, whether it's the products or the business, that you create some sort of certainty in their life. Because if they don't, they won't even listen to you. If they don't know, like, okay, look, 2 shakes, 1 meal, lots of water, 2 healthy snacks, you're going to lose weight, okay? If you give them that certainty, they'll follow through. But if you're like, well, I don't know, I think, and you don't have no certainty, they won't even listen to you, okay? So one of the human needs is certainty, okay? Now, here's the thing. If you have too much of that, you get bored. So you have to have number 2, and that's uncertainty. We must have variety, okay? Now, some people value certainty way more than they value uncertainty, but that's something you need to discover. Like with people, they'll eventually tell you, like some people say, you know what, it doesn't matter. I can have the same meal every single day, 5 days, out of the week, and I'm totally good. They're fine with certainty. I have a friend, his name's Raul. That guy, no, he needs to have a different meal every day. He likes to have variety. So he values uncertainty way more than certainty, right? But he needs them both, as you do as well. Number 3 is significance. This is super important. People need to feel important. They need to feel special. They need to feel unique, okay? And people will find a way to feel significant, whether it's through violence, through love, through contribution, something. They need to find a way to feel significant. Number 4 is connection and love. You know what they say. Babies don't have love. They don't have like affection. They won't survive because they need it. It's a human need. Now, here's the thing. For these 4, we will find a way to get them. There's no way. We will find a way. These are universal. But the last 2 are actually where your fulfillment comes in. And that's number 5, there is a need to grow. That's why you're on this call. It fulfills you to know that you as a person are bettering yourself. And number 6 is the need to contribute, which is why Herbalife is so amazing for so many people, is because you can get to contribute to people's lives, whether it's the Fit Camp, through weight loss, through your business, whatever it is. So these last 2, if you don't have them, you won't feel fulfilled. So if you've ever achieved a goal and then at the end of it you're like, this is it, it's most likely because you were missing the last 2. Yeah, you had significance, yes, all this, but you didn't have that. You didn't grow as a person. That's why Jim Rohn says, you have to invest more in yourself than you do in your business. And why it's so important to contribute, because that fulfills your spirit. So it's exactly 30 minutes. So I'm going to end the call recording, but I'm going to open the lines for questions and answers. And I'm also going to give you guys some information to be able to receive the presentation on reprogramming your brain. So hang on, don't hang up.